G'day, Jared from Tyre here. As always, I'm always me. Been doing an interesting thing recently where we were actually approached by a company to help them test tyres as they research new tyres to bring into the Australian market. So I've actually worked with these guys, and this is why we've been a little bit quiet over the last few months. Been working with these guys just to find the right set of tyres for these guys to bring into the market. And so we've tested a couple of different ones, and the first ones were quite noisy. They were a hardcore extreme all-terrain sort of thing, but they were too noisy. And then we had a couple of other versions in between times, but we've sort of landed here. And again, I haven't received any money from these guys. I just find it interesting to be able to test tyres and actually, see what might be coming onto the market and see what else is out there. And we've landed here. It's a brand that's not in the Australian market at the moment. It's the Predator New Mutant. So Predator is the brand. It's not the creepy sort of Predator or the teethy sort of Predator. It's the Tyre, the Predator. Predator New Mutant. And these are, they're calling them an X-AT, but they're a 2-ply sidewall aggressive all-terrain. So you could probably say it's an X-AT, but it's not a 3-ply sidewall like the top tier Geo-16 from Yokohama, or there's actually a plethora of new ones coming out now, which is kind of cool. So maybe let's do a quick studio review, and even come over here for a second. We'll just have a quick look at the sidewall and the tread pattern. So just for reference, I'm going to model this as like a studio review / short-term review. So basically you can see that they've got pretty aggressive tread going on. These have got about 4,000 Ks on them, by the way. So we've got pretty aggressive tread, and then you can see they've got good siping through the shoulder blocks, and that channeling continues through as well. We've got reasonable siping through here. These are a three peak mountain snowflake red tyre as well, so that's good. Reasonably aggressive upper sidewalls too. What else? They don't have much of a rim protector going on. Not that you really worry about that too much with this sort of tyre, but again, I don't know what price these are going to be sold for. Have come in relatively blind on that sort of thing, but I think they're probably going to be like a tier 2 tyre. Looking at these are sold in the States and that sort of thing for a reasonable price. And so I guess, how have they actually fared as a full drive tyre in the Tassie wilderness, Tassie commuting to work and back and forth and that sort of thing? And I've probably had them on for about 2 months now, and they've actually been remarkably comfortable, and that's, I think, because of the 2-ply sidewall going on. They track well. They're a little bit heavier on the steering, so you can sort of feel it a little bit more in comparison to some of the other all-terrain tyres that I've used. They also they don't tramline, which some of the cheaper tyres that I've used in the past have done. In terms of using them for noise is the other thing. These started off really quiet. I thought we actually had like a unicorn tyre that was a reasonable price, really quiet, really comfortable, reasonably aggressive, that sort of stuff. But the noise pitches elevated just a bit recently. It sort of got to about 2,000 Ks. Most tyres are quiet, and then they reveal their true character after a couple of thousand Ks. And so I wouldn't call these noisy, not by any long shot. But there is definitely a whir there. You can't hear the tread pattern or anything like that, but there is definitely a whir going on. And so something to consider, but it's definitely not a down point. The other aspect is that because they're a comfortable 2-ply sidewall tyre, they might not be quite as durable as perhaps the 3-ply sidewall tyres that we've been seeing in the extreme all-terrain market. But again, it comes down to the horses for courses. And the other thing to consider, which I haven't been testing for this one because it's a short-term, long-term test, is tread wear. And so that's where I'm really curious to see what you guys experience with these tyres. So again, they're not a top tier, they're not a BFG, they're not a Maxxis or a Yokohama or anything like that. They are a brand new brand on the market. Tell us how you go with them. It's through your feedback on tyrereview.com.au that we can actually learn from the broader market how these tyres fare. So I'm really curious to see how they go in the market. Again, not wedded to these by any shot, just curious to see how a new set of tyres goes in this market. So I'm going to let me finish, but I'm just going to cut in here and actually add some actual pointers on road handling, because I realised that I didn't really touch on that very well in the entire monologue that I was doing back there in the wilderness. So dry handling is actually really good in these tyres. Wet handling is surprisingly good as well. So I throw this thing through roundabouts, and I'm stuck behind someone at the moment, so I can't really give you a demo, but I throw this thing through roundabouts quite heavily and rapidly, so you guys don't have to. And it actually handles well. It doesn't kick the back out. Understeer isn't a thing. So, and that's one of the usual measures that actually kicks, that throws tyres out. What I have noticed though is that I think they're a bit of a softer carcass, and so they perhaps wander a little bit more than some of the tier 1 tyres that we usually review here. So that wandering means you sort of got to pay attention a little bit more. And for a boy racer like myself, I find it actually a little bit harder to hit those lines with these tyres too. So you're perhaps a little bit less accurate with your driving. So if you're taking them around the F1 track, then probably not your main choice. And the other thing, because of that softness, the turn isn't that fantastic as well. So again, they're a tyre that can do everything, but there are some aspects. Anyway, I'll throw back to me in the wilderness. So in terms of actually driving these off-road, I didn't do a huge amount of boggy stuff. I didn't do a huge amount of mud, terrain or anything like that. Haven't had time, but I did give them an absolute beating on a dry off-road track that had a whole bunch of sort of pineapple-sized rocks, and it sort of took us 40-45 minutes to go through this track the first night. Things are always slower at night, particularly when you're doing them the first time, but then I did it in the length of Stairway to Heaven plus half an extra song the following 2 days later, because the blood was up a little bit, and I wanted to see how they would handle going real fast, real hard through a roughish track, and also that's a good time to see how the sidewalls hold up and how the tread holds up as well, because if you're going to get a bubble in a cheap shit tyre, that's the way to do it. So went real hard, but actually had no problems with them. As you can see, I've been giving them a good curbing and that sort of stuff as well, just to again, go hard, see what happens. And again, they came back for more, which was nice. Again, this is a cheaper sort of tyre, so I was a little bit tentative with them to start off with, but I figured, hell, why not? Let's just go hard and see what happens. Anyway, that's the Predator New Mutant. Keep an eye out for them. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.